The year is 2020. We just witnessed one of the best college football teams in all of college football history. The LSU Tigers, led by Joe Burrow and the head coach of Coach O. And they won the national championship, finishing their season to be undefeated, to be 15-0. It was a pretty good run. Arguably one of the best college football teams of all time, and one of the best seasons ever by a team, and one of the best seasons ever by a quarterback that won the Heisman. But what did college football look like 10 years ago? But first, let's take it all the way back to the preseason top 25 AP poll going into the 2010 college football season. At number 1, you had Alabama, 2, Ohio State, 3, Boise State, 4, Florida, 5, Texas, 6, TCU, 7, OU, 8, Nebraska, 9, Iowa, 10, Virginia Tech, 11, Oregon, 12, Wisconsin, 13, Miami, 14, USC, 15, Pitt, 16, Georgia Tech, 17, Arkansas, 18, North Carolina, 19, Penn State, 20, Florida State, 21, LSU, 22, Auburn, 23, Georgia, 24, Oregon State, and 25, West Virginia. And a lot of people's favorites to win the national championship that season was last year's champion in Alabama. Now, according to a Bleacher Report article from 2010 going into the 2010 college football season, let's talk about the projected Heisman finalists that Las Vegas had. At the first place spot, they had Mark Ingram, who won the 2009 Heisman Trophy. In 2009, he rushed for 1,658 yards, along with 17 touchdowns with 6 yards per carry. And he did some work on the receiving end too, with 334 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. And the projected Heisman runner-up for the 2010 season, according to Las Vegas, was Terrell Pryor, who the season prior in the 2009 college football season completed 57% of his passes with 2,094 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. But he did a lot of damage on the ground with 779 rushing yards with 7 touchdowns. And with the preseason third place projection spot for the Heisman Trophy, you had Kellen Moore, quarterback from Boise State, who completed 64% of his passes, 3,536 passing yards, 39 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, just the season prior. With the fourth place spot projected to be the last Heisman finalist for the 2010 college football season, you had Ryan Mallett, the Michigan transfer, who's the quarterback for Arkansas. Now, in the 2009 season, Ryan Mallett played very well. He completed 56% of his passes, threw for 3,624 passing yards with 30 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Unfortunately for the predictions from Las Vegas, according to Bleacher Report, only one of those Heisman projected finalists actually ended up to be a finalist this season. Coming in at fourth place, you had Kellen Moore, who this season completed 71% of his passes and threw for 3,845 yards with 35 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. But he only got a total of 635 total votes for the Heisman Trophy. Now, coming in at third place, you had LaMichael James with a total of 916 votes. Now, let's talk about this season for LaMichael James. LaMichael James totally ate up Pac-10 competition that season. He had a total of 1,731 rushing yards with a total of 21 touchdowns. Not to mention the 208 receiving yards he had with 3 touchdowns. Coming in as your Heisman runner-up, you have Andrew Luck with a total of 1,079 votes. Now let's talk about this season for Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck played amazing. He completed 71% of his passes with 3,338 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. And he did pretty good running the football as well. He averaged 8 yards a carry with 453 rushing yards and 3 total touchdowns. But who was number 1? And the 2010 college football Heisman winner is Cam Newton. Now let me provide some background context on Cam Newton going into this season. Going into the season, he was not favored at all to be a Heisman finalist. He was actually ranked 26th, outside of the top 25 according to Las Vegas. Basically, if you even made like a $50 bet on Cam Newton to win the Heisman, you would have made more bank than Joe Burrow's dad did betting on Joe Burrow to win the Heisman this past season. Joe Burrow even had better odds winning a Heisman this season than Cam Newton did, and it was rightfully so. Cam Newton, coming out of high school, was a 5-star recruit and 26th best player in the nation and the number 2 dual-threat quarterback in the nation. He was a 5-star quarterback. He really had the greatest build at 6'5", 235 coming out of high school, and he committed to Florida. But we gotta talk about Florida. Florida, he was a backup to Tim Tebow. As we know, became a Heisman winner, won a national championship. And, we know the Tim Tebow story, or at least we should. Cam Newton, in his 2 seasons at Florida, was just a backup. He really didn't do anything. All he did was just sit there. He played a little bit every once in a while, mainly garbage time, but he only played 6 total games. But he would eventually have to leave Florida due to stealing a laptop, supposedly, where he would end up at Blinn Community College in Texas, where he would ball out and eventually be on Auburn's roster. Now, let's talk about the 2010 season for Cam. Cam Newton absolutely balled out in the 2010 college football season. He went 14-0 as a starter at Auburn, which would eventually make him the number 1 pick in the NFL draft for the Carolina Panthers. And you know what? Cam Newton, rightfully so, won the Heisman. Let me tell you his stats. He completed 66% of his passes, threw for 2,854 yards with 30 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And he was very dangerous on the ground as well, with 1,473 rushing yards, averaging about 5.6 yards a carry. He had 20 touchdowns. The final top 25 for the 2010 and 11 college football season was Auburn as number 1, TCU at number 2, Oregon at number 3, Stanford at 4, Ohio State at 5, OU at 6, Wisconsin at 7, LSU at 8, Boise State at 9, Alabama at 10, Nevada at 11, Arkansas at 12, Oklahoma State at 13, Michigan State at 14, Mississippi State at 15, Virginia Tech at 16, Florida State at 17, Missouri at 18, Texas A&M at 19, Nebraska at 20, UCF at 21, South Carolina at 22, Maryland at 23, Tulsa at 24, and NC State at 25. A transfer quarterback winning the Heisman and a Natty in the same year? I felt like I've heard that somewhere before.